guys, welcome to another edition of Fox 5 Live. Today, Thursday, July 6th, and we're going to go right to some breaking news right now, you guys. You're looking at a security alert in Massachusetts. We're going to bring this full picture in a second. This is the bomb squad. Massachusetts State Police is investigating a potentially suspicious truck. If you can see here as I bring it a little more full picture, there it is. We were close up on the truck earlier, but all we know right now, and no sound on these aerials right here, but the bomb squad was called in to take a look at this area here. There's a gate that they're honing in on where a truck, there it is, there's the truck on the street, and apparently this is a potential security threat, a potential alert, and they're checking out what is going on. So I'm reading potentially hazardous material has been found in the truck. A bomb squad is now checking it out. So
yep, they've evacuated the Air Force Base, and they're taking all the security precautions necessary to make sure that nothing, that the situation doesn't escalate in any way, given the suspicious contents of this truck, and that's all we have so far.
Yeah, guys, so we're going to be checking in with more information about this and bring that back to you as well. In addition to this, concurrently, let's jump over the pond right now and over to Hamburg, Germany. That's where we are in this picture. This is a live picture of G20 protests in Hamburg. You can see here, there's a little bit of gnat sound. There it is. This is ahead of the G20 summit where international leaders and economists are gathering. President Trump also just landed in Germany, so that comes after he spoke in Warsaw, Poland this morning. We have video of his speech for later on in the show, but right now this is live pictures of Hamburg here, protests ongoing ahead of the G20 summit. Now, President Trump is slated to meet later with Vladimir Putin. That is, of course, causing some conversation and some protests as well. So we've been kind of keeping an eye on his international trip for the week. That's where the president is this week. We're watching some of those happenings across the pond. Meanwhile, we have the security alert in Massachusetts and some other newsworthy items as well to bring to you guys today on Fox 5 Live. So stay with us for more coverage of this. Cam and I are going to be bringing this to you from the digital newsroom here in Washington, D.C. at Fox 5 Local News in Washington.
Yep. Anytime anything comes up, tune in right here. We've got it for you.
Yep, we're here, guys. You can feel free to chat along with us on the YouTube live chat, and we can answer some of the questions as well. We're going to be right back with you. Once again, guys, it's Molly and Cam inside the digital newsroom here. You're looking right under us at pictures of the G20 summit protests going on in Germany. And then down in the right-hand corner of your screen here, it's a potentially hazardous situation found in a truck. The bomb squad has been called in Bedford, Massachusetts. So that's what you're looking at there in the right-hand corner of your screen. Apparently, personnel saw something suspicious inside of this truck. The picture kind of keeps zooming in, and we got a little bit of a wide shot there, but that truck that you see is the truck that led them to trigger some security precautions there at Hanscom Air Force Base this morning. Massachusetts State Police saying that the bomb squad did respond and is screening the truck. It looks like that is still ongoing as far as we can see from the video. Not a lot of new information coming in on that, but we have the aerials of that situation right now.
I'm sure that after they're done screening and maybe processing all, what they're finding, we'll get some kind of update as to exactly what, if they found anything, if they didn't find anything, what the base security is going to look like going forward.
Yep, we do know that no injuries have been reported. They're still investigating there, so we will bring you more as we have that situation kind of updated for us. We just don't know much more about it, but it looks like that is the truck right there on this Air Force Base in Bedford, Massachusetts.
And this is the kind of thing that, you always want to be overly cautious about. So, it very well could be that, nothing's going on with this truck at all, but anything suspicious, anything potentially dangerous, you obviously want to check it out to its fullest extent before putting anyone in danger unnecessarily.
Exactly. And as I effort some more information on this, guys, we'll bring that to you as well. But take a look, full picture here. There is the G20. I'm going to switch that up for you. Protests going on. You can see lots of police presence there in Hamburg as we await that all to happen. President Trump did just land in Germany, and ahead of this gathering of many leaders across the world, so lots of security, of course, and we see them just sort of waiting in the wings there to keep things in control. So guys, once again, this is, you're watching the G20 protests right now in Hamburg, Germany. This is the meeting, the 12th meeting of the Group of 20, a varied scatterment of international leaders, including French President Macron. Trump is there, Angela Merkel from Germany, Justin Trudeau of Canada. They're all there to gather and talk international issues, leadership issues, and we're seeing these protests live coming down on our stream here on Fox 5 Live, guys. Reading also that protesters were vowing to disrupt this G20 summit. Looks like police are ready at hand for this to all happen. Thousands of protesters apparently are gathering from across Europe to join in big demonstrations. Police were expecting 100,000 protesters, I'm reading, in Hamburg.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be reading more about this, guys, and bringing you more live picture here in a few moments. But now, quickly over back to the security alerts in Massachusetts. I don't have any sound on this one, unfortunately, but we're still looking at that truck right there in the center of your screen as police and the bomb squads are continuing to investigate this Air Force Base. The truck was apparently prompting a suspicious sort of alert. Some type of material found in the truck was deemed suspicious, and they sent in security a short time after that. Hi guys, if you're just joining us for this show, welcome to Fox 5 Live out of Washington, D.C.'s Fox 5 digital newsroom. And you're looking at live picture right now. Aerials, a little bit of a wide shot here now, but this was a security alert. It is an ongoing security alert at a Massachusetts Air Force Base called Hanscom Air Force Base. You can see now the zoom in on what they are saying is a suspicious truck handling some type of suspicious material. Now, bomb squads were called in earlier this morning to handle this situation. You can see the truck there, sort of there now in the center of the screen of this small feed. I'm going to bring it a little larger, a little bit rough with the chopper video here. But as you can see, this is what we're looking at here. This is continuing as an ongoing investigation right now up in Massachusetts. We know that there have been no injuries reported right now, but police continue to check into that situation up there.
Just a cautionary situation so far. You see that, well, you can't really see it right now, but the truck right now kind of in, well, the truck with the doors, the back doors open, it's getting checked out by the local bomb squad, as Molly said, and as they complete their check, complete all their scans, and finish up that process, I'm sure that they'll release more information regarding exactly what it was, if there's anything suspicious at all.
Apparently, yeah, the area near the gate where the truck is actually situated has been evacuated. I don't believe the whole thing has been evacuated, but what we're reading from Massachusetts State Police Twitter is that the area near the gate has been evacuated and there's a potentially suspicious truck. We have a little bit of a blockage of the view with the chopper feed here, but continuing to monitor the Mass State Police Twitter to find out more information on this. Meanwhile, guys, as we keep our eye on this, check it out over in Hamburg, Germany. We have a little sound on this baby. Protests going on in advance of the G20 summit, which is happening here in Hamburg, the second largest city in Germany. Lots of locals are not too happy with that. That is all happening sort of there. You can see people likely singing in protest, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, singing, rallying support, and things like that.
What we know is that they've sort of deemed this protest as sort of the theme of it is welcome to hell. It's what President Trump was greeted with from protesters when he landed. And here it is. Police are expecting 100,000 protesters in Hamburg here, some of 8,000 of which are deemed to be possible to commit violence, according to police there. And so they have a heavy group of police on hand to deal with this. Looks like they're all kind of rallying. Lots of signs there, no G20. This gathering, this 12th annual gathering of the 20 leaders from some of the top nations, international leaders and economists gathering here in Hamburg today to discuss things like open international trade, defense, and the like amongst these different groups. We're going to keep our eye on this protest. And as always, guys, let me know where you're watching from and what you think. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and start up that live chat on our YouTube feed. We want to hear from you guys and hear what you think. You can see lots of signs, anarchy flags being waved. A lot of things going on here in Hamburg.
Unit, and then a watch commander. So
all right, guys, looks like we just lost that feed of the G20 protests. We will hope to get it back, but check it out. It's a car chase in Pasadena, California. We're going to roll along with this and listen in.
This rush hour traffic on the 2 freeway, or does he jump off? You know, normally we see these. It doesn't always happen during rush hour because of the traffic on the freeway, but here he is. He's weaving in and out of traffic. Some minor damage. He did collide with that one vehicle as he was getting on the 2 freeway. So he's basically weaving in and out of traffic. Public safety, that's right.
Pasadena, is that?
Yeah, Pasadena.
So he's getting off at Verdugo Road. And you're so right about that, Steve. Public safety is the #1 priority, but it also, because of the amount of traffic in the area, it limits the CHP and the police officers' options. They can't do a pit maneuver in the middle of a lot of traffic. Just ran a red light. Now getting onto Verdugo Road here, so we're in Glendale, in the Eagle Rock Glendale area. He's going under the 2 freeway, heading back in the eastbound direction. So now he's going eastbound. I believe that's Verdugo Road, and now he's got a little more surface street traffic. As you mentioned, he could stick with the traffic rules, or he could just blow through that red light like he did a minute ago. So he's stuck behind some cars here. They have the red light. He's stuck behind them. CHP now behind him. And they're not, as you can see, they're not pulling up right next to him. They're going to wait and see what he decides to do. He's not pulling over. He's going to go through. Now he's got the green light. He's making the right turn here. CHP going to continue following him. We'll see what kind of speeds he does here. If he does anything, like what he was doing before, just a moment ago, they're going to again have to make a decision here. But now he's making a southbound turn, and we're still going to be in the Eagle Rock Glassell Park area, and they're gonna. We don't have a street. I did not catch that street, but he is going southbound. I think that might be Eagle Rock Boulevard. I'm just not exactly sure. Is again now he's making another right turn, so now he's doing a little bit of a circle here. We'll see if he establishes any kind of a pattern. Of course, if he does that, then they have the option of pulling out the spike strips, depending on how well he knows the area and what he decides to do in terms of. Well, he's kind of zigzagging through this neighborhood, which may imply that he's familiar with it, but that's anybody's guess at this point. We are in a residential neighborhood now in the Glassell Park area here in Northeast LA. Again, 3 CHP units following this pickup truck. We caught it out of Pasadena, although it's not clear where it all began. That's a big question at this point. Also, why they are wanting to catch this guy and why he's so desperate to get away. But now they are weaving through this residential area, a windy road, and only, as far as we could tell, only that driver. I can't get a clear look in the passenger seat, but we have at least obviously the driver and no confirmation of anybody else. And so he's behind that house, Vince. They stop behind this house. Okay. So he's come to a stop. They're making a felony stop. Police officers, or I should say CHP troopers with their guns drawn, waiting for his next move. Right, it becomes a much more stable situation if he complies with their orders, and it looks like he is. We've got a driver's side door open. Hopefully we see those hands out. That's what the CHP wants to see at this point. They want to see both hands out the window or out the door, and they want him to shut that vehicle off very quickly. Now, if he doesn't comply, that's when they have a problem. But in the meantime, it looks like he's got that driver's side door open. And just as quickly as it opened, it could always close. So this is still a very active situation until he gets. Yep. Yeah. Right, now you can see so he's not exactly complying because by now they would like to see him out of the vehicle. I saw one of the neighbors near the top of your screen behind the CHP officers. We don't want to see any of that either. Of course, if you hear sirens, you want to stay indoors in a situation like this because then CHP has the issue, as you mentioned, Steve, of crossfire concerns, and they don't want to have anybody else in the line of fire in the event that they have to use any kind of force here. They want this guy to cooperate. They want to end this as peacefully as possible. Unfortunately, it looks like he's being a little bit stubborn and not getting out of the truck. So that's where we have a little bit of a standoff. Yes, no, stay away, stay inside. Yep. Okay, that's very interesting. It wouldn't have surprised me to see the one officer stand down, but now we only have one officer with their gun drawn, and a number of officers kind of crowding around. I've got to wonder if they heard something come from that vehicle. Okay, now that CHP officer, and and that's not a gun, that's a taser. He's got a taser pointed at the driver's seat, and the truck keeps going. Here we go. He took off. There we go. Driver's side door. Now it'll be very interesting. We don't know if he was able to fire off that taser. There's other traffic. There's another car backing up. There's other traffic in this neighborhood. And now this driver of this pickup truck really desperate to get away. And we don't know if he's injured. It's a possibility. We don't know. But now this chase is going to continue here through this residential neighborhood. I've got to tell you, 9 times out of 10, in a situation like that, we would have, look at this, more pedestrians in the line of danger here, but in a situation like that, we would have normally seen, as quickly as possible, other agencies, whether it be LAPD or CHP, come around the other side of the block. Now, there just wasn't enough time to get you. It's almost a head-on collision there. Okay, this guy is driving really recklessly now and obviously has no regard for anybody's safety. Now, from the looks of it, I can tell you it does not look like that CHP officer was able to fire off that taser. Otherwise, I don't think he would be able to drive this vehicle the way he is. So we have this able-bodied driver now continuing this pursuit. Not sure how far behind him those CHP officers are, but I got to tell you, yes, that's right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they changed their stance. I don't know why they did that. Now, you can never second guess them. But okay. Now here he is. He's head on with a work truck in this neighborhood. He's got nowhere to go. He's pretty much stranded here unless he decides to do something really desperate. I tell you, he's got an older model pickup truck that's a little small. He's gonna try and squeeze through this parked car, and it looks like either a parked work truck or a driver that didn't want. Basically, I don't think there was anybody in that other truck. So he just basically squeezed between 2 parked cars, and now he's continuing on. That's going to pose a problem for the CHP behind him now. They're going to face the same obstacle until that guy gets out of the way. So this guy is now weaving through this residential neighborhood pretty much without anybody behind him. We've seen an occasional pedestrian, people picking up their morning paper. We've got another truck, apparently, I'm told, behind him. I'm not sure if that's a law enforcement officer or not, but he's continuing through this windy road. I'd love to try and get the name of this street, but we don't have it just yet. There's another officer. That was an LAPD officer coming in the opposite direction, went right past him. And now we'll see if this guy comes out the other side of the building or if he stops once again. He's slowing down. He's not going as fast as he was. He's slowing down. It appeared a second ago when he was in that bit of a predicament. He tried squeezing through those two cars. He actually was on the phone. Now the other car, that other truck. Okay, we're turning on to Fletcher. Yeah, that's the truck. It's a roofing truck that was blocking him. Now we have a pedestrian truck in this pursuit on Fletcher. That's where we are. We're now turning on to Fletcher. This is not what police want to see, although now that that truck's out of the way, hopefully CHP can get their units into this area. They do have an airship overhead relaying these streets to the units on the ground, so hopefully they can kind of triangulate here and corner this guy off. There's only so many entrances and exits into this neighborhood. I would say that's probably the more likely predicament. The more likely predicament, as you just said, he probably thinks he just got hit by this guy. Now he considers it a hit and run. Why didn't this guy stop? I'm going to go get this guy. And so now you have, two civilians involved in or basically a road rage incident. But of course, it's a lot more than that. Of course, he doesn't realize he's in the middle of a police pursuit with numerous helicopters overhead watching every move here. So this guy, again, continuing to do somewhat of a circle in this neighborhood. He's turned off of Fletcher, and we really we hope to see by now some more law enforcement in the area. But again, we're still in this residential neighborhood. He hasn't really left the Glassell Park area. That's a distinct possibility. It's something that we see very often. Now here he is. He stopped once again, and this time he's going to try and get out. He seems to be a younger male in his 20s or 30s. He's out of the vehicle, unaware of anybody behind him. Now we don't know if he knows this house or if he just walked into a stranger's gate. Looks like it might be. Looks like it seems like a house he might be familiar with. I got to tell you guys, just my hunch. He's going downstairs, but he's basically cornered himself, and that green truck, the driver of that truck now knows where this guy is. Now I don't know if he's got a way to get out of this house through the backyard. We have not seen any sign of the cops. They never were able to catch up ever since he squeezed through those two cars. So now they are relying on law enforcement overhead. But as far Yep. We've got no idea who he is, but we've got the driver of that green truck is now on the cell phone with 911. Yeah, he's called 911. He's got the roadblock, and now this is going to turn into a foot pursuit or a suspect search once police finally get here. That's assuming this guy doesn't escape through a backyard or through a neighbor's yard or something like that. And we're only... Yeah, I mean, I have to reiterate, we're assuming that he is familiar with this house. This could very well be a stranger's house. That's when it becomes a home invasion. And again, we don't know if this guy is armed, what he's wanted for, and the danger that he may pose to anybody inside this house. This is a very desperate person and a very desperate situation. And, until we see law enforcement arrive here, this is a total wild card that we're looking at. Here we see a black and white near the top of the screen. Finally. I'm sorry, Liz. Go ahead. Yes. Yep. Right. Exactly right. Once again, it's a fairly sizable home. They're going to have to search the entire home, and that's assuming he's still on the property. Once again, there's other neighbors here. There's other properties. He could be jumping fences that because he's in a tight quarter there. He kind of went down those stairs. We've lost all sight of him. They have, okay, we're being told now from law enforcement this is a possible, and I want to stress possible, suicidal suspect that they were dealing with. And that again goes to the desperation, when you have somebody who's in that much despair, who feels like they have nothing to lose, that's when we have a really dangerous situation on our hands, on CHP's hands. They just don't know what this guy's capable of or what he's willing to do. to end this. Of course, CHP has information that we don't have. For example, assuming this was his vehicle, they were able to track the license plate and maybe by now able to determine whether or not he lives here or whether or not he has relatives who live here, and that will allow them to communicate with people inside the home and de-escalate the situation. Now, if it turns out that he's in a stranger's house, well, that's when all bets are off, and they're going to have to bring in a SWAT team and really do a thorough search of this property until they finally find this guy. But, you know, we just don't have that information. Yet, so far we just have that one cruiser, and I suspect that that cruiser may have not even been one of the original CHP troopers. That may have very well been an LAPD unit. I'm not sure about that. But now we have another SUV, another... Okay, we are being told that... Okay, we're being told from our assignment desk that we think that this is the guy's home. We believe he lives here. And that... It's a possibility. We haven't confirmed that, but it's a possibility, at least the belief of our assignment desk, that this may be where he lives. Now we have additional law enforcement pulling up to the scene here. They're not going to enter the property until they have enough backup. So now they're in a situation where they have to kind of watch and wait before they can, send officers in there. And that is, by the way, I can see on the door, that's a CHP officer. So this is possibly one of the original units that are now arriving on scene. One of the original units that were following him in Pasadena now arriving on scene. I can tell you also LAPD has an airship doing very tight circles around this house. So if he tries to jump a neighbor's fence or jump onto a neighboring road behind this line of homes, he's not going to get very far. They do have LAPD overhead watching his every move, and they also have infrared technology that can literally look through the walls and be able to determine whether his body heat is coming from the trees or if it's in that garage or something like that. So they are going to try and contain this situation. They're going to set up a perimeter, and the bottom line is it could last an hour, or it could be a 24-hour standoff. You know how these things go. They're all a little bit different, as you mentioned, Steve, but this is now going to turn into a suspect search and possibly a standoff until they find this guy.
Hi guys, once again, you are watching Fox 5 Live here in Washington, D.C. in the newsroom. We're getting this footage of this pickup truck on the run, this car chase that originated in Pasadena, California, as far as we know. Hearing some details come out now. Unfortunately, we did lose the G20 summit protest feed, and it switched to this. So we're bringing you this now live. We were hearing from the Sky Fox reporter that the driver of the pickup truck is possibly suicidal. Once again, this is raw, unedited footage, so viewer discretion is always advised for this sort of thing. We're going to listen in to the reporter to hear more details about this.
It certainly appeared from my vantage point that he was on the phone. Well, you have no idea who he was talking to, whether he was on the phone with 911, whether he was on the phone with his mother, whether he was on the phone with a relative or a friend, but it certainly appears that he was communicating with somebody, and whether police have the ability to contact him, well, that'll be very interesting, Steve, as you mentioned. All right, so from my vantage point, it looks like they're waiting for backup. They're going to wait for additional LAPD units to arrive on here. Obviously, they want to save this guy from himself, but they also have to put the safety of their officers first and foremost before they could do anything. And they, of course, they want to look out for the public safety. So anybody who might be inside that house, and any of these other neighbors. So they're going to wait until they have enough backup before they enter that house. That we could tell you for sure from experience from all of the standoffs that we've seen. They're not just going to go running in there chasing after him, even though they saw the same thing we saw as he jumped out of that car and went down those stairs. Looks like it's he's not in that garage because he went down the stairs, and whether he's made entry into the home or whether he's sitting on the steps, we just don't know. And they're not going to find that. They're not going to find that out until they have enough backup to enter the property. Well, to a certain extent, to play devil's advocate, like I have to wonder. I mean, he's already escalated this situation and put enough lives in danger to this point where they have to face they're facing the fact of unpredictability. They just don't know they can't predict what this guy is capable of. If he's suicidal, does he want to commit suicide by cop? I mean, we've seen that so many times in the past. So they're not going to treat him as a victim until they have the situation contained and enough backup to handle the situation. So why they're backing up? Yeah. Yeah, that's a distinct possibility. I can't say for sure what. Well, it looks like they're organizing a little bit of an arrest team. Now we've seen this in different situations. We now have a group of 3 or 4. Looks like 3 cops near the top of your screen. 4 cops. Okay, we've got. Okay, so we've got 4 officers, and they all appear to be wearing helmets. What they're waiting for. Okay, 5 officers. They're all wearing helmets, and they're all kind of sticking together, trying to strategize how they're going to make entry here. They may decide to make entry before they have a full SWAT team here. You got to remember, a SWAT team sometimes can take up to a half hour or an hour to respond to a given situation, depending on where they are and depending. That's right. Guys, just a heads up, we've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes of fuel. 5 minutes of fuel. Burbank. Or probably Van Nuys, actually. Van Nuys is faster. Where do you think he is? They think. Let's try. Can we get back there, maybe? Oh, I see. Is it the green one with the satellite dish? That green roof right there, like a shed? That's his property. So he might be in that shed, bottom right-hand corner of the screen, right there. That's where he is. So the airship must have seen him go in there, or they're detecting something. They probably have a heat signal. Okay. So we have a visual. Apparently the guy is in there, Andrew. Okay. That's fine. That green shed. It's a green shed in the back of the house. Copy that. Yep, 5 minutes. Yep. You're good. You're fine. We'll come around. We'll get it. I don't think so. Once we see the door, we can stop. Okay, it's a guest house. Okay. Top of the 9. Top of the 9. Yes, top of the 9 we could do. That, and then we go. "15 seconds. All right. Push in. Push in. There he is. Okay, so we just witnessed the guy come out of that guest house behind the blue home that we've been concentrating on, and immediately as that guy exited the home, a German Shepherd went chasing after him, and now this is all playing out under these trees here. Obviously, it's very well. Our view is obscured now by this tree, so we can't tell what's going on. But we were able to determine during the commercial break that this guy had made his way through the property and had entered a guest house behind the main residence. And just a second ago, as we came out of the break, we saw him walk out of the granny flat, or the guest house, if you will, and right behind him was a German Shepherd. I don't know if that was his, if that was a neighbor's, or if that was a canine officer, but that's what we've got. That's the latest, guys. They now have very casually. It was you're 100% right. You saw what I saw, and that's exactly. In fact, there's the dog right there. It looks like a very friendly dog. Doesn't seem to be acting in an aggressive fashion whatsoever. I'm being told that the suspect is now walking along the northeast side of the property. So what that tells us is he may not have the keys. He has not made entry into this main residence. He did sneak into that guest house. Now he's walking around the property, and there's a dog walking around the property with him. It may be his dog, it may be another dog, but it does not appear, at least from our vantage point, does not appear to be a law enforcement canine. But once again, police have not made their way into this house. They're still waiting for backup. You see that group of officers we were showing you earlier. They've now surrounded the original pickup truck that they were chasing, and they're basically in a standby mode. I'm being told the guy has now made his way inside the blue house, Steve. Thank you, Jake. Awesome. That was him. Yep. There's the dog. Waiting for the top of the show, and then we're Well, the reservations that we were watching earlier on the part of the LAPD and the CHP has shifted dramatically. There are now upwards of a dozen police officers surrounding the home, waiting for the guy to come out and perhaps waiting for negotiators to come out and resolve the situation. As you mentioned, Liz, this has basically turned into a standoff situation for a short time. That suspect who was being chased in that pickup truck originally made his way through this property, ended up hiding in a guest house, and then, as we saw earlier, he literally walked very casually out of the guest house, and we're told he's now made his way into this main residence, into that blue house there you see in the center of your screen. There does appear to be a big German Shepherd on the property. Does not appear to be a police dog. It does appear to be possibly a pet. I can tell you LAPD is circling this house with their helicopter. They have the airship overhead, and they have numerous officers now taking up position around the home, hopefully in an effort to end this situation as peacefully as possible. Liz and Steve, back over to you. I did not. I gotta be honest. I did not catch it. Okay, they're making entry. Okay, so they have a group of about 7 officers who are now gonna they have their tactical gear on, and they just tear gas. Somebody just threw a tear gas grenade over the side there. That incidentally is the original staircase that the suspect walked down when this pursuit came to an end, and it looks like they're now going to try and gain entry through that front door. Okay, they're talking somebody out. Is it him? Is it somebody else? We don't know. It doesn't look like him unless he's changed his clothes, but it's just too early to say. But a different color, right? Okay, there's multiple people in the home. They're now escorting those individuals out of the home. Yep. So this is an occupied home. We don't know, again, if he lives here. We believe he may. But now police officers attempting to slowly make entry into the home, and hopefully, well, we'll watch along and see what happens here. Right. Well, and that goes to the million-dollar question. Is this just an unstable individual, or is this an armed, unstable individual? If he's got a gun on him, if he was holding hostages in there, that's a whole nother ball of wax. On the other hand, if he's unarmed, and they don't know that, I mean, at this point, it's anybody's guess, so they have to act as if he is. But it looks like that door, I'm being told that apparently he just peeked his head out the door. He just peeked his head out the door, and he's now slammed the door in officer's face there, so he's not willing to comply. It does not appear he's willing to come out. So we picked this up in Pasadena, and that was about, by my count, maybe close to an hour ago at this point. He was coming westbound on the 210, eventually ended up on the 2 freeway through Glendale Park. He was weaving through this residential neighborhood, and eventually, after hitting a few cars and squeezing through a few parked cars and really ramping things up, he eventually ended up right here off of Fletcher in Glendale Park, what appears to be his home, where he's now hiding out, Steve. We're done. We're done. We're done.
Which one?
All right, guys, so as you heard it there from the Sky Fox reporter over in Los Angeles, the helicopter does have to pull away from the situation. That is a true bummer because we really want to see how that ended up.
Super unfortunate. I mean, ask anyone in here. I've been on the edge of my seat throughout this entire thing, but you know, what a situation. You know, starting with the chase, he said over an hour ago, along the highway, we saw him exit the highway. There was a brief moment where he stopped.
Circled around that green car, the green truck.
Yeah, well, and even before then, he was stopped in there were two police officers, or two police cruisers kind of parked behind him with 4 police officers out of their vehicles, kind of behind the door, guns drawn. He had the door open. It looked like the situation might get resolved there. And then when a police officer approached him with a taser, it looked like he slammed the door and took off again.
Always a very riveting thing, a car chase in California, guys, and we're sorry that had to end up like this. We don't know if the chopper will head back out there, but we do always hope that these situations will resolve peacefully, of course. Thank you so much for your comments, guys, on Facebook. I've been watching along with you. Come join us on YouTube for our live stream on YouTube's Fox 5 DC.
Just go up and just talk.
Hey guys, we are back. Molly and Cam and Emily inside the digital newsroom here at Fox 5 Live. Thanks for watching us on YouTube here, and thanks for your chat. We have been watching that car chase along with you. That was crazy stuff.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, definitely something to liven up your morning, and hopefully, you know, if the situation does not get resolved in the next, you know, whatever, 20, 25 minutes.
I know.
Then I would bet that Fox LA will, you know, refuel and then send their chopper back out to get, you know, the tail end of that standoff.
Yeah,
so.
And guys, we'll keep an eye on that, of course. If we do get that footage back for you, we're going to bring it right back onto our stream. We still don't know how or why that pickup truck chase started in Pasadena and what the circumstances are around that, or even if the guy was armed or not. We don't know that.
I don't believe, at least up until where we are right now, I don't believe he was armed. It didn't seem as though he was, at least in the car. You know, when the police officer approached with the taser, and even into you know, him being in the house, you know, when he apparently stuck his head out the door and then slammed it, it didn't seem like he was armed in that moment. But we did see him walking with a bag from that guest house back to the main residence, and you obviously never know what was in that bag. Definitely.
Very suspicious, ominous type of circumstance there. Guys, we're back in the digital newsroom here at Fox 5 Live, and thanks for chatting along with us. Let us know your comments. Let us know where you're watching from and what you like. We're going to kind of be jumping around to various live news and events as they happen. And right now I'm getting footage of President Trump arriving at the Hotel Atlantic in Hamburg, Germany. He's there for the G20 summit, which we saw protests of earlier today. There's lots of protests going on. Police expecting upwards of 100,000 people protesting this summit, this gathering of 20 international leaders and economists over in Germany. Now, a lot of people were questioning Angela Merkel for her decision to have this in the second largest city, Hamburg, Germany, due to some of the damage and the violence that could happen surrounding this event. But right now, let's check out this live footage of President Trump's arrival at the hotel in Germany. All right, guys. So like we said, you're watching. There it is, the outside sort of entrance there of the hotel, and it looks like President Trump is about to arrive. I don't believe we've missed it. We just got this feed in from over there across the pond. So if you're just joining us, President Trump arriving to the hotel in Hamburg, Germany, where everything is going down. Now, earlier we saw all these protests, lots of people lining the streets, lots of police presence as well, lots of tension about international trade, climate change, all those things, and lots of people gathering with signs and basically themselves in pockets of people to protest this summit. So we're waiting now on President Trump. Well, he'll be meeting with Vladimir Putin. That is causing a lot of talk today, a lot of stir. He'll be meeting with him later today. And of course, the leaders of these countries gathering together. And that's what we're kind of watching for the day. We'll see kind of how much we have of this feed. And if we can, oh, it looks like they're moving the media back.
Inside here, if you need to.
All right, and that might be it for our feed, guys, today. But we'll see if we get that back. President Trump arriving in Germany, but earlier he was speaking in Poland, and we actually had that speech for you to play out in just a few moments as well. So we're going to be going to that shortly. What else is going on, Cam? We're talking.
I'm still looking for information. You know, any updates on this police chase in
we're going to keep you guys on that.
What else is going on today?
It's National Fried Chicken Day as well.
It is National Fried Chicken Day.
We gotta show him.
I've got just kind of the remains left. I had some chicken in here earlier. You can see just a little bit of the skin.
Yep.
And some bone. It's been pretty picked clean, but
Cam got some. I didn't, but it was okay.
I snuck in there.
He got it for you guys. We'll be monitoring these feeds, guys. Waiting on some more stuff to come in. I'm gonna see if I can find his arrival. Yeah, it looks like we actually ended that feed. Looks like he did already arrive, and it's possible that we didn't get that footage in. So we're going to give you a shot of this rainy day in D.C. and come back to you in a few moments. Hey guys, we're back in the digital newsroom. Molly, Cam, and Emily here. What's up? We're going to take you over now to Colorado. They've been dealing with some pretty bad wildfires there.
Yeah, there's been wildfires throughout, you know, a lot of the West, Colorado, Wyoming, I think some into Idaho and Nevada maybe. So all sorts of wildfires out there, and including around the Denver area where they've had to evacuate thousands of homes from people just to, you know, safe distance, just keep everyone safe. You obviously don't want anything tragic to happen. And out there, we're having there's a fire briefing going on currently.
Yeah,
so.
A news conference. We're going to jump right over there in Frisco, Colorado, talking about the wildfires that burned last night near Breckenridge, particularly. Let's go over there right now.
Jurisdiction, and I'm happy to say that we have 2 engines in the Peak 8 area currently. We have an engine in the Gold Hill area. And many of you, depending on what insurance company that you have, for instance, USAA, and I believe there's like 7 other insurance companies that contract private fire organizations. They are arriving by noon. There should be 10 private engines on scene. The USAA people are here currently, and what they will do is that they actually will go in the areas like Peak 7, they've identified if you have their insurance. They will look at your properties and they will move furniture, they will move firewood, they will do things to really make your property a little bit more fire safe should it move that way. They'll do nothing destructive to the property. So all in all, by noon, there'll be 10 private engines. Through the cooperation of Summit County government, we allow them to work in the fire zones as long as there's not a threatening fire moving that way. So their main mission is to really make your homes fire safe, and the areas around your homes fire safe. So we're really pleased to have them on board. We will leave engines into those areas as long as we do have the requirements in place, and that we have moved everybody out of like the Peak 7 area, and that we will continue to have engines in that area. And we do have ground crews available that will assist federal upon their need and their call. Any questions at all as far as red, white, and blue and our citizens? Yes.
In the residential areas, do you have fires around the structures and homes just in case it ever travels that half a mile?
That's exactly why we have the engines in that area. And we'll step that up depending on what happens today. As far as the wind right now, the wind is fairly calm. So pretty much the fire activity is kind of moving up towards the peak. And the smoke, if you watch the smoke column, it's not moving really heavily north or south. As that would move, then we would step up. We do have available resources. We've called back. All of our employees basically are on standby in Breckenridge. So we can deploy quite a bit more equipment in a very, very short period of time. Yes.
We all realize it's a very dynamic, unpredictable situation, but statistically, what chance would you give?
All right, sorry guys, looks like we lost that feed, so we're going to bring you back over to Hamburg, Germany. Looks like we have a pretty clear aerial shot right now of these G20 protests that we've been watching and monitoring for the morning. Check it out. Pretty crazy. So guys, check it out. You're watching these protests here at the G20. You can see, sort of make out some of the signs and just various structures that are around. We're not sure if everybody really is a protester here, but thousands were expected to come. Anti-capitalist protesters, people talking about trade, climate change, some of the hot topics, and this is what the scene looks like right here. Looks pretty busy. Lots of police force as well. I'm not seeing a shot of them just yet, but we did earlier.
Yep, and obviously this protest was expected. Federal Interior Minister de Maizière, probably messed up his name, but in Germany, said basically that peaceful protesters are wanted and welcome in a democracy, just not violent. So he's totally fine with this type of situation, a peaceful protest, peaceful showing, but obviously wants to keep everyone safe, and that's why there's so much police on scene, and hopefully they aren't actually needed.
Yeah, and also this is an interesting time for Angela Merkel, who, of course, is the leader of the country here. She's running for her fourth term in September, so compromise and sort of talks about certain issues are important. It's important to her and to the people voting for her to keep sort of that clean record and to sort of compromise on certain hot button issues. So it'll be interesting to see what she has to say. Of course, we saw the same-sex marriage thing open up in Germany this week, which was interesting to see. Angela Merkel herself originally against that, but sort of threw it to the wayside this time around, as of course she has this impending election in September. So the politics in Germany has been interesting to sort of follow and watch. Looks like we're now seeing footage of some police force, right, on the water, gathering here, or something's going on. I'm not quite sure what this is. Okay, full screen.
Ich hab ne Kind, mein Lebenslau. Dies, das, lalala. Langzeitstudenten. Dies, das, lalala. Bürgermut, genau. Dies, das, lalala. Sind sie überall. Ich hab Kater gefressen auf. Dies, das, lalala. Schienbo, Schwarzwort. Ich hab die Eltern rasten aus. Nobody wins. Schöpf die Kaffee, mit Soja, Milch, Kaffee, hier, Digga, feiern. Kommt mit dieser Gangster nicht bei mir. Ich geh verficken, zweite Jahr.
So as you guys know, we saw a little tad bit of President Trump's arrival here in Germany. He's slated to meet with Angela Merkel later today, this Thursday, before the actual G20 summit meetings begin on Friday. So that will be tomorrow. We'll probably have more of that for you guys. Of course, with the time change, it's interesting to see when we get some of these public events to us back on our sources. But right now, you're seeing a lot of signs that say black bloc, an indicator usually of anarchy and sort of protest groups that wear black. That's sort of just a general term. A little more of an aerial footage here of some more crowds on the water. Not a lot of close-ups of police, but we are seeing some security throughout this footage as we sort of watch. But again, just some hot topic areas of contention: trade policy, climate change, open trade. Police are expecting thousands, and some of these protesters, namely, they said about 8,000, to be deemed by security forces ready to commit violence. So they are keeping an eye out for possible violent tactics, of course, and just keeping security. Here, of course, Europe has been a source of threat for a long time. We've seen a lot of things happening in Europe, mainly in London, Paris, and the like. So things are tight, and we can expect them to be tight probably throughout the week. So that's what we got going on there, guys. So, guys, earlier President Trump, of course, arrived here in Germany, and we have some footage of that coming in right here. Below our faces here in the left corner of your screen. In the right corner, it's still the ongoing protests that is live in Hamburg, Germany. Right now, we're getting in that footage. You can see people sort of lining these buildings, lining the streets. There they are in black, some of these protest forces. So we're going to double box this shot so you can kind of see what it was like when President Trump arrived. And then, of course, the protests that are ongoing right now live in Germany.
Wir müssen in der Tat zeigen, wogegen wir sind. Da gibt es genug. Wie soll man euch Idioten denn der Horizont so begrenzt schon Schock wenn Frauen Baggy Pants und die Männer Rockrock, alles bleibt anders. Wir müssen euch wohl dran gewöhnen, zwei Menschen, die sich lieben, das ist doch wunderschön. Was auch immer man von allen haben will, scheißegal wie wenn der Mann sagt, Leistung. Ob jetzt Frau, Frau, Mann, Mann, Frau, Trans, Mädchen, Mensch, Lieb, Mensch, das ist alles, was zählt.
Once again, guys, you're looking at this footage here from earlier of President Trump and Melania Trump arriving in Germany. We had this video come in. They arrived ahead of the G20 summit, which kicks off tomorrow on Friday. And down below, you're looking at footage kind of clipped together live, protests going on in the city of Hamburg. Now, they are preparing to march in the street, and police are ready for it. They know that these riots can occur, and they're expecting a certain number of them to be capable of violence. So they're watching for that specifically, of course. Apparently last night, there was a fire at a Porsche car dealership, and some vehicles were damaged, and it was they were investigating whether there was like an arson attack or this was part linked to the summit. Police are still working on that. But shopkeepers and private businesses, of course, are still sort of watching in fear that this could cause some outbreak of violence or damage to their shops and their businesses. So definitely something to watch out for. You see that wide angle here. We'll take this a little bit bigger of the protests. There are pockets of people, lots of people lining the streets, and police are on hand, ready to take up anybody that, you know, causes some extreme violence or damage. So we'll be kind of watching this throughout the day and throughout the week. And back to this double shot here of President Trump, his arrival and that sort of ceremonious arrival so you guys can see it. And we'll be back in the newsroom shortly.
So, bevor die Demo gleich losgeht, durch eine sehr, sehr lange, schöne Route durchs Viertel, haben wir noch einen letzten Song, die Eskalation. Morgen wachst du auf mit aufgerissenen Augen, kommst aus dem Ort gekrochen und kennst es verdammt nochmal nicht glauben. Im Kopf klichendes Pochen von der Fiesta, alles was jetzt hier vor dir liegt, die Klopfen mit Reste von gestern. Komm ich auf Blau in 50 Schattungen, weiß sie in die Pause, du musst von den Toren los. Ich spreche lieber mit den Leuten, wir setzen die explodieren, aber ich habe auch mit den Lava, Stadt und Tanzen, ja, ohne Bibel, weil ich glaube, wir stoppen erst dann, wenn schon wird an die Wagen ragen. Nach einer Gruppe von Eskalation, die am besten Moment zeigt einer Nation. Die durch meine Bomben überschreiten ihre ganze Autorität, doch besetzt den Thron. Nach einer Gruppe von Eskalation.
Hey guys, thanks for checking in with us. If you're on our stream, welcome to Fox 5 Live. You're looking at a double shot here of President Trump arriving in Germany in the upper left-hand corner. This was moments ago, or rather a little bit earlier. And then live right now, take this full picture here, is footage of the G20 protests that are ongoing in Hamburg. Now, we were saying police are ready for these to happen. They were expecting hundreds of thousands of protesters to come from all over Europe for this occasion. You can see there the people in black, the Black Bloc Force, as they are named, sort of a symbol of anarchy and protesting of certain sort of topics, I guess you could say, in this G20 summit that will be raised, including trade and climate change and international topics of the like. But we're going to leave you with this footage for now, and we'll come back inside the newsroom shortly and change gears a little bit to some more viral videos that have been blowing up the social scene.
Vielen Dank. Dankeschön. Bis gleich auf der Demo. Okay, ich glaube, wir können tatsächlich starten. Das war schon ganz schlecht. Ja, hier nochmal herzlich willkommen auch im Namen der Demonstrationsleitung. Ja, es ist jetzt soweit. Nach so viel Vorbereitung, Organisation, sondern wirklich eindrucksvollen, guten Auftakt hinzu. Nach einer geilen Stimmung. Viele musikalische Unterstützung.
What's this? Oh, we're going back.
All right, guys, we're back in the newsroom. Thanks again for joining us. We're just gonna be jumping around to cool live news. First, let me show you guys this cool video from Colorado Springs. This happened the other night. Check it out, courtesy of Chris O'Dubryak. He found on his Nest camera, later given rights to use this video, a bear wandering around his house for about 5 hours.
While he was asleep. He was asleep the whole time while this was happening. He woke up, didn't know anything had happened.
Yep.
I guess, obviously saw like his shells open and, bite marks and I guess and stuff and wondered what it was. So he went to the camera and here it is. His
Opening
bear.
up the fridge. Look at those eyes glowing in the light. So crazy. Apparently he was wandering around for a good 5 hours. Later, that's all we have unfortunately on the video. It's a quick little tidbit, but later, unfortunately, the bear did have to get put down. So kind of a sad
really?
ending. Yeah, Colorado State Police had to say that was sort of the policy and that's what they had to do. So unfortunately for them, that was that situation. Not sure if anybody caught that video. Let me know if you've seen it making its way in the viral video realm. But we're going to go over to Glendale, California, guys. Another police chase. If you guys were with us this morning, you were seeing that police chase that started in Pasadena. I'm actually not sure if this is...
I would assume this is the same
it's
one.
It's possibly the same one.
Yeah, no, this is the same one. There's that.
Oh, there's the car.
Yep, there's
All right,
that
we're
truck.
back. It looks like the helicopter got back up with its fuel, and we're back. Yeah, there's the green truck. The guy that the gray pickup truck that you see in the foreground here swerved around to get around during this police chase. So back up at it, and we should get some sound on this. Let's check in. Not sure if we'll be getting a live report. But
okay, cool.
There he is. Yeah, there we go.
Coming to us. After the commercial. After the break.
Yeah, guys, so it sounds like the Sky Fox reporter is in between breaks right now for the station over in LA, but you can see we're getting a little bit more of a clear close-up picture. It looks like police are still surrounding this house.
Still surrounding, which is interesting. When we left them about an hour ago at this point, they were all up right at the door, which is actually on the other side of the house from the angle now. But there's basically a walkway, a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That you can see right now. You see that white fencing that goes right up to a door into the house, and you had probably 4 police officers on that bridge by the door, this door into the house. They had just evacuated the other people out of the house and apparently had made contact with the guy running away. So I kind of suspected that it might wrap up quickly from that moment, but I guess, but obviously we're still here, so I wonder if they, backed away, if they retreated from the door, and they're now coming with a new kind of plan of attack.
Yeah, that's a really good sort of synopsis, a summary of what happened. This is really wild that we are back because we were saying, oh, the helicopter, something will be resolved and the helicopter won't go back. But it looks like they kept at it. Helicopter refueled, and now here we are, Skyfox Los Angeles over this scene. Camera crew is ready on the ground with reporters for sure, and they're getting ready for they're still in their early morning shows, 9:50 a.m. over there in California. So this started in Pasadena, ended up in Glendale, and we're sure to get a live report from the reporter there here in just a moment. But there's the house in question where we think the guy sort of was in. We saw him circling around it with the dog.
Yeah, there's a German Shepherd, we believe, the pet of this man, who was outside. I guess maybe now is inside. We haven't gotten any kind of further information on it.
Yeah. So we continue to sort of watch and wait for a further update. But I find it fascinating that green car is still there. He was sort of annoyed, I think, with the fact that he circled around him.
Well, it certainly turned into a pursuit. I guess by definition, it started after this guy apparently called cops on his own in despair and claimed to be suicidal, and that's when CHP went to assist him. But when they finally showed up on the freeway in the 210, he did not pull over, he did not stop, and certainly it turned into a pursuit. Once he jumped off the freeway, we saw him driving very erratically, putting numerous lives in danger, hitting a couple of cars, squeezing through parked cars, and eventually leading police to his neighborhood here in Glassell Park, where he is now involved in a standoff. Now, the house has been evacuated. There were some other people home at the time when he finally pulled up here, and police have now surrounded the house. Police are in tactical gear, and they are going to wait for him to come out or eventually send in a SWAT team to retrieve him, whatever comes first, I guess you would say. But for the most part, this now appears to be a standoff, as you mentioned, Steve. Sandra Endo actually has some more. I know she's on the ground. Sandra, can you hear me?
All right, guys, once again, we still have this standoff going on after this police chase. It ended up in Glendale, California. You can see they're zooming in on some police members here. And what we're hearing from the reporter is that this was a guy who said that he was suicidal.
Yeah, called police saying he was suicidal while apparently on the freeway. It was kind of unclear to me. While on the freeway. Yeah. And then when officers got there, instead of turning himself in, he...
Yeah.
I just took off, essentially. And now we're all the way here. He's in the house. It's just obviously a confusing situation.
Very odd scenario. Makes me think that there could be he could be armed in some way.
Yeah.
Because he was saying that.
I mean, that or potentially, obviously when somebody's suicidal, the potential is there for, like, suicide by cop, essentially. But you would think his window for that already passed. So...
That's a really good point.
Kind of an interesting situation.
Yeah, we've seen other scenarios like this before where, of course...
we even got some tear gas out of the deal.
We'll take his report.
Had a little bit of everything.
I think he's going to go. So again, you're listening to the voice of the Sky Fox reporter.
Like it was just for fun.
He knows the roads better than we do, and he knows this sort of area and what's going on. He sees this all the time. So we're going to try to get some updates if we do. And if we don't, we'll just sort of keep talking about what we think about this. But yeah, we see these sometimes. And again, this is raw, unedited video, guys. So anything can happen. We do want to say viewer discretion, of course, is advised. But if you guys are watching... we'll sort of see what becomes of this. Like you said, perhaps that window of suicide by police has closed in on itself. We saw that whole chase all the way from Pasadena now to where he has ended up where they think is his home in Glendale. That's what we were hearing before. There's the news crews setting up, getting more live reports from the ground, of course. And we're also efforting information. If we hear anything more about this, we'll bring it to you guys as we're watching it along with you. But seems to be still sort of an exciting scene here as they fired up the helicopter again, and we're back on the scene of this standoff.
Dave and Andrew, I believe. Oh, maybe, no, I guess maybe Andrew may have left. Oh, Andrew's, yes, he's here. Hey there. Cool.
All right, guys, if you're still with us, we're still waiting on more of a live report from the Sky Fox reporter on the scene there. Still wondering what's going on. Is this guy barricaded inside his home? Is he going to use force? We don't really even know. We don't have an update.
Yeah, and I don't think
Hey
that
there,
the police
Andrew,
know either, and I think that that's why they're exercising so much caution here. You know, they're waiting for the situation to kind of play itself out as much as possible. They obviously don't want to put anyone's life at risk, including the potential, suspect today.
Yeah.
They're trying to save him as much as they're trying to, keep themselves safe. So, really a very delicate situation, one that, you just have to trust the police officers to deal with. They deal with these things, and
meanwhile, guys, concurrently with this, we got some other stuff going on. Check it out. Vice President Pence is arriving at NASA. He's going to be talking at Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. So that's coming up soon. And if we get that speech live and it's interesting, we'll bring it over to you. But that is happening in the left corner of your screen. Meanwhile, this car chase, the same one from earlier today, is going on. Ended up in Glendale, California, and we await more information from police to relay it to the reporter there on scene for us to give it to you. So we'll kind of wait and watch, guys, and we'll be back with you with more.
This one here? Wow. Yep. Which one is this? This is Forest Lawn. Yeah. Where's Jackson?
So once again, guys, thanks so much for joining us on the YouTube stream. I'm Molly Nevola here in the digital newsroom. You're looking at two different feeds right now. In the upper left-hand corner of your screen, Vice President Pence is slated to speak at what is called the Kennedy Space Center Vehicle Assembly Building in Cape Canaveral at NASA. So we'll hear from him shortly when that comes back around. And then live also in the right corner of your screen, let's bring that full picture, is this standoff after the police chase that occurred earlier this morning. It was a gray pickup truck, led police on a chase. They're saying that the guy called in himself being suicidal and led police on a chase. It was quite riveting. We were watching it earlier, and then the chopper ran out of fuel. So now we're back. He is back, and we're going to see what happens here. So keep an eye on our feed here. And also, guys, let me know where you are watching from, and any comments or questions that you might have, I can answer them. Put it in the live chat. Don't forget to click subscribe on our channel, and you can watch us all afternoon long every day when we are up on Fox 5 Live. So we'll be bringing you both of these events as we get them in, and any live reports as he can update us on this chase. We're hearing from him now, I think. So we'll wait and watch for this a little bit longer.
Don't let anybody fool you.
And then we'll go down to NASA.
It was a pursuit. Cool. Where is it? Over here? Oh. Copy that. I'm guessing you can't go in there? Yep. I love LA.
Here we go, guys. So we're still watching this standoff, this potential standoff after the chase, and you're hearing the reporter kind of talk back to people on the ground to get more information. It looks like tons of media crew is there. The trucks are all there set up to get this ground shot. So they have sort of he has led police on this long chase that has lasted through many hours of television over there in LA. Remember, it's 10 a.m. California time, and this is in Northern California. This is not uncommon for California. We see these a lot. As you guys probably know, we always put them up when we have them because they can be quite riveting. We don't know exactly where this guy is. We're still learning more as we hear the report, but we're going to keep our eye on the situation. You saw that green truck earlier. That's the same truck that this gray pickup truck maneuvered around to try to get around when he was leading police on this long chase. That guy apparently, I think they said, was just a local shingles worker or something of the like, and actually stayed on scene. We don't know exactly why. Possibly he was a witness. He was sort of helping police in this chase in some way. Maybe he knows some information, but it looks like his car is still there, which is quite interesting. So we're going to keep monitoring this, and if you guys are just joining us, check it out. This police chase ending in a standoff in Glendale, California. So we are sort of waiting and watching for more of a live report from Skyfox reporter over there who knows these roadways a lot better than I do, but I'm still monitoring what we do know. And we know that this guy, possibly we're hearing reports that he called police and said something about being suicidal. Police then showed up, he led them on a chase, and we ended up here. So we don't quite know what is going to happen next, and we'll see how long we have this feed. Meanwhile, we told you about this. Vice President Pence about to come out here on stage to speak at NASA down in Cape Canaveral, Florida. We'll be monitoring this as well. In addition, I want to bring you guys President Trump's speech in Poland. Earlier this morning, he spoke in Warsaw about Western civilization and sort of arguing that civilization is at stake. He made the keynote speech at this at the Polish capital there in Warsaw. So we'll be playing out that speech for you guys later on as well. But for now, let's go back to this car chase as we await other stuff happening down in Florida. And we're going to see what we can get here for more information on this standoff. Guys, we're back in the newsroom here with intern Cam, and I'm Molly Nevola, your host here at Fox 5 Live. Check it out. We're getting a little closer in towards the house where we think this guy is. Again, don't know if he's armed, don't know if he's barricading himself inside. Actually, we don't even have the report that he is in there, but it looks like, according to the police action and what they're all doing, they are surrounding themselves around this bluish house that we saw him enter and come out of earlier
There he is.
in
He's
the
in custody.
day.
No? Right there in the center of the screen, no? Okay, sorry.
All right, so we'll watch and wait, guys, for more of an updated report from Skyfox. So you can see the camera angle honing in on this area of the house. There's the police waiting outside. It doesn't look like they're taking or possibly direct action. I was, we were hearing that maybe we're going to send SWAT in, but it was a fragile situation.
Yeah,
because of this guy.
You can see that they're still waiting there by that walkway up to the door. That was the same door that they approached earlier. And there's three people that were in the house.
No, negative.
Not suspects. And then apparently they made contact in some way with the suspect, with the individual who's been running away, and after some determination decided not to force entry at that point. So that's that same door. I wonder if he's in that room right there. You can see the door, or if he's elsewhere in the house walking around. I mean, you can see the dog there in the bottom.
There's the German Shepherd.
That dog's been walking around the house. We've seen him a bunch of times walking around. So unclear exactly what what role he will play.
Yeah, we'll
going
sort of
forward.
Watch. Yeah, at first they weren't sure. Was that is that his dog? Is it a name? We don't really even know.
Yeah,
if it's his per se.
It seems like it's his. That all indications were that it was his, or he had some familiarity with him. It walked closely with him when he went earlier from the guest house, which you can't see on the screen right now. But there's a kind of shed guest house off the side of the main home there, and the dog walked closely, non-aggressively with him from the guest house back to the main house. This is probably an hour and 15 minutes ago, an hour and a half ago at this point. So all indications are that it is his dog, but we don't know that for certain, obviously.
Yeah, guys, so just to recap, it looks like some people are just joining us on the YouTube stream. Guys, welcome to Fox 5 Live. We are live in the Washington, D.C. newsroom. Check out this full picture. Police gathering outside this house. Lots of trash cans there and recycling bins, like some commenters were saying earlier. Police are gathering there and sort of watching and waiting and determining what to do next. As we know, or we think, this suspect, this man that led them on a police chase earlier this morning, is possibly barricaded inside this home. There's a long walkway to that entrance where he is and where he was, where we did see him on screen actually earlier in the morning. Now the chopper refueled, came back to the scene, and are waiting and watching to see what to do next. There were reports that this guy was self-proclaimed suicidal. So obviously police have to take certain action in that with those situations. And I believe they're probably determining what to do next. They're also, I believe they're feeding information back to the Skyfox reporter who is in the chopper. And as we get more information from him, we're going to keep that sound up so that we can get a live report if he does one in the 10 o'clock news show that they're broadcasting out in LA. So we're kind of keeping an eye on that. He knows what's going on more so than we do, getting that live report. And we're watching this feed live. There's the police gathering together.
So obviously the police don't expect, or they don't seem too overly cautious at this point. I mean, they're standing, essentially out in the open, not, no guns drawn, almost lounging. Would be another way to describe it. So they don't seem to perceive this man as much of a threat to them at this point. I mean, obviously you never know what might change, but they seem to be, just kind of waiting it out, trying to gather all the intel and come up with a strategy going forward, and not push anything. So
Yep.
but they're also not particularly worried right at this moment that anything might escalate if they do wait.
Exactly, and I'm also sensing from what you said, there just isn't really that sense of urgency with this group of police right here. It sounds like there's some plan in place, some tactics that they've been going through. Something possibly will happen, or they have some plan, obviously, that we don't know about. But like you said, they don't. It doesn't seem like they are alert. They're just sort of not with a sense of urgency. Things seem to be cooling down a little bit, but again, we just don't have a conclusion or real summary as to what exactly is going on inside that house or what we got. We just kind of had this chopper feed pop up again. They refueled and came back to the site of this chase. Now, it looks like some of those cars are gone from the street. I don't think there's as many lining the street as we saw earlier, including some of the other cars that were in the area, some that were involved in the chase. And like Cam was saying, 3 people did leave that house.
Oh, sorry.
Who didn't seem to be involved in it or were suspects. They just sort of ran off.
So we're not sure if they're family members, if they were just staying there. Have we confirmed yet that this was the man's house?
I don't even know if we've confirmed that.
There was some speculation earlier that this was the man's house, and based on his strategy, that seems to be a reasonable assumption. The way he seems, familiar with the surrounding streets, but then also with the guest house. He had that bag, and the dog appears like it might be his. So his familiarity with the house seems to indicate that it's either his or he at least frequents there,
right?
Somewhat frequently, and so we're not sure if those are family members, if they're just other people that live there with them, roommates, other tenants kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Or maybe, friends of his, and he's stayed there in the past, something along those lines.
Yeah, lot still really in question here, guys, and a lot unanswered for us until we get more of a live report from the Sky Fox reporter. We're not going to really know some more details, but I'm really curious to see, like you said, was that really his house? How was he familiar with it? What led him around, back to that shed? Did he grab anything? Was there something in the bag that he purportedly was holding? We don't really know. But like we said, cops surrounding this seems like they're in control and they know what's going on, and that they don't have this big sense of urgency. But we sort of await and see what happens here. As long as we have this feed, I think we should keep it kind of going and just see what kind of report we can get.
Yeah, you never know when something interesting is going to come out of a situation like this. I mean, anything can happen really at any moment. Right,
very true. We've seen these a few times before, in the morning, kind of afternoon news. These seem to happen in the morning, midday in California, and we get them in a lot. And you do never know what can happen. We've seen some violent ones and some less so that end peacefully, which of course you do, hope that everyone is okay and that these end and they resolve in a peaceful manner. But again, we don't know. This is all raw video. It's happening in the moment. So, we just don't know what will happen. We're going to keep on this feed, guys, a little longer and just see what they can find with this chopper camera as we monitor it from the digital newsroom here in DC. Thanks, as always, for joining us, guys. Let me know where you're watching from and who you are. Any questions? Molly and Cam here in the newsroom. We're going to stay on this for a little longer. All right, guys, we want to keep you on this. Of course, it's still ongoing, this police chase slash standoff going on in California here. Looks like police are gathering. They know a good amount.
Yeah.
They're talking.
I'm sure that they probably gathered pretty much as much information as they're going to have at this point. I mean, it's been, what, probably
over
an hour and a half, where the man's been in the house. I mean, so, you know, they've got information. It seems they're having some kind of strategy review, information gathering session, maybe there in the street.
Yeah, and so we think he's in the house. I mean, as far as we know.
Yeah,
from
as far as we know.
They have a heavy presence here,
and
so we think they know.
Their
obviously.
actions would indicate.
Mm-hmm.
There was some speculation earlier, and I'm sure they do, that the police. I mean, so obviously the police have their own aircraft up right now, circling the house, circling the area, keeping a bird's eye view on things.
Yeah.
And they potentially have infrared technology, which will allow them to virtually guarantee that the man still is in the house.
Good point. Yeah, that is a good point. They know a lot of stuff. So it looks like they're gathering here and talking about stuff, and I hope there's sort of some next steps made, and possibly we can catch that on camera. So we're going to be watching. It looks like they just finished. Okay. So possibly something's going to go on here. If not, we're going to still keep you on this feed so you can watch, and also bring you some sound down at NASA where the Vice President is speaking. But for now, let's watch and wait for a second to see if something goes on. Looks like something just concluded.
Let's see what comes from this.
But like you said, they do seem sort of a little bit more relaxed and definitely walking without an extreme
Skyfox
sense of
News
urgency.
Desk, Andrew, you up? No. Where is it?
News crews there gathering. If you hear a voice,
It looks like they
from
may
the
be.
Skyfox.
All
They
right,
may be about to
we'll
get
head
some
up
kind of
there.
press conference.
Oh, maybe.
Brush fire, Rinaldi, Porter
It
Ranch.
does look like that. Yep. Police looks like they're talking. Hopefully, Skyfox
Granada
Guy
Hills, sorry.
reporter will get this information back to us. Oh, bummer, we can't hear it. Hopefully, he gets it in
Yeah, I'm also on the
web.
on the web. I'll see if I can get it. The Fox Los Angeles station does not have, looks like, a link to that live feed on their Twitter, but I'll obviously keep my eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, definitely a press conference. All the news crews are right there. There it is. The chopper zooming out. There's your wide shot of the area. It's possible they switch these feeds on us and we get the press conference live. Not quite sure if that's going to happen.
It seems like they're leaving the scene.
It does. So we're going to watch and wait for that, guys. More information coming, forthcoming if we can get that to you guys. Let's go down to...
I need
sure
coffee.
if they're gonna switch it.
And Starbucks,
All right. Yeah, we're going to flip it out, guys, and actually come back. If we do get more information on that car chase and a press conference on that, possibly the situation is resolved and we don't know sort of to what extent, but we will be monitoring our sources for more on that. Let's jump down to NASA. Vice President Pence is already at the podium. Let's check in with him.
Just last week, President Trump declared that America is, in his words, going to be leading in exploration and discovery like we've never led before. Welcome to a new era of American leadership in space. You know, I can't think of a better place to deliver this message than here at the Kennedy Space Center. Named for a president who challenged America to undertake, as he said, the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. The Kennedy Space Center is the heart and soul of our nation's space program, where science fiction has become science fact for generations. Just this past Saturday, this center celebrated its 55th birthday. And for 55 years, you've relentlessly expanded our horizons and given us so many national heroes. Here, the crew of Apollo 11 set sail for the Sea of Tranquility on the moon. Here, you launched America's space shuttles and America's astronauts to orbit this blue marble. Here, the Hubble Space Telescope, the New Horizons, and so many other technological wonders lifted off from Earth to give us a glimpse of our fellow planets, the distant stars, and the infinite galaxies that are our window into our very past. And here, from this bridge to space, our nation will return to the moon, and we will put American boots on the face of Mars. My friends, the missions that began at the Kennedy Space Center are carved into the mantle of American greatness. And more than that, they're etched into the hearts and minds of the American people. Generations of Americans have marveled at and been inspired by what you do here. We've joined in your countdowns, rejoiced in your successes, and we've grieved with you in your sorrows. Because the missions that started at the Kennedy Space Center have captivated the American people and carried our hopes and dreams into the heavens as almost no other national initiative. You know, I caught a passion for the space program when I was just a little boy in a small town in southern Indiana. Some of the most precious memories of my youth were gathered around a black and white television watching images of American heroes making history. As a member of Congress, I asked to serve on the NASA subcommittee, and I had the privilege, along with my wife and children, to attend several space shuttle launches. You know, I really have no doubt that my son, who's now a Marine Corps aviator, was inspired to serve as a 10-year-old boy when we sat in the grandstands here at the Kennedy Space Center and watched in awe as America's heroic astronauts hurtled into space. You know, I said at the time, to see the sights and sounds of a launch here at Cape Canaveral was like seeing the Earth giving birth to a piece of the sun and sending it home. And you're the ones who make it possible. So give yourselves a round of applause for making miracles happen, for making science fiction science fact here at the Kennedy Space Center. The truth is that your work breaks new ground and breaks records in equal measure. And serving each and every day with this president, I can say with confidence, the American space program has a champion in the President of the United States. President Trump has a deep appreciation for the vital work that NASA does each and every day. That was on full display earlier this year when, in the Oval Office, President Trump signed the first NASA Reauthorization Act in more than 7 years. Surrounded by many of these same members of Congress who join us here today, after the bill's signing, President Trump renewed our nation's commitment to, in his words, NASA's mission of exploration and discovery, because he knows that every day the men and women of NASA inspire the American people and enrich the American spirit. President Donald Trump is already ensuring that NASA has the resources and support you need to make new history from this place, inspire new generations, and advance American leadership in the boundless frontier of space. Of that you can be assured. You know, allow me just to take a moment to single out Senator Rubio and Senator Nelson and all the distinguished members of Congress who are here with us today. Would you all mind standing and allowing everyone here to show our appreciation for the great champions of human exploration in space that all of you are? Please rise and give these leaders in the House and in the United States Senate a big round of applause, would you please?
Meanwhile, guys, here as Vice President Pence speaks at NASA, you're looking at the bottom right corner of your screen. These protests are ongoing at the G20 or in advance of the G20 summit, which starts tomorrow in Germany. You can see there, police are in full force, many police helmets there, watching this crowd. And if you can just make it out, that sign says "Welcome to Hell," which is sort of the mantra of these protesters during this particular protest. So we're going to sort of watch that as we listen into the Vice President.
Just as we have risen to the challenges that came before, so too we will rise to meet the new challenges that lie ahead. That's why just last Friday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to relaunch the National Space Council and guide a new era of space leadership by the United States of America. After being dormant since 1993, I'm proud to report that the National Space Council is up and running once again, and it will be my great honor as Vice President of the United States to serve as its chair. As the President said last week, the National Space Council, in his words, will be a central hub guiding space policy within the administration, filling a void that's existed in American policy for nearly a quarter century. This is actually the third iteration of the National Space Council. American presidents from Eisenhower to Kennedy, Johnson to Nixon to George H.W. Bush all turned to the National Space Council for assistance and advice. It was under the first National Space Council's watch that America put a man in space, put a man on the moon, and with less than a decade between them. And the second council saw our nation through the close of the Cold War as space became ever more important to our national security. As you men and women of NASA know, the American people have never lost our passion to explore space and uncover its secrets. But for nearly 25 years, our government's commitment seems to have not matched the spirit of the American people. But I'm here to tell you that as we still enter this new century, we will beat back any disadvantage that our lack of attention has placed, and America will once again lead in space for the benefit and the security of all of our people and all of the world. Our National Space Council will re-energize our pioneering spirit in space. It will restore our confidence and the confidence that we can and will achieve the impossible, just like you all here at NASA have done so many times in the course of my life. It will ensure that America once again takes our rightful place as the vanguard of humanity's historic rendezvous with the future in the outer limits of space. The Council will bring together leaders from the President's administration, including our Secretaries of State, Defense, Commerce, Transportation, and Homeland Security. The Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, our National Security Advisor, our intelligence leadership, and the NASA Administrator. And I look forward to holding the first meeting of the National Space Council before the summer is out. President Trump has given the Council the duty, in his words, to advise and assist his administration regarding national space policy and strategy, and we'll be busy doing just that. We'll review our current policy and our long-range goals and coordinate national space activities from national security to commerce to exploration and beyond. And crucially, at the President's direction, we will, in his words, foster close coordination, cooperation, technology, and information exchange among all the stakeholders and sectors involved in space activity, including government agencies, the armed forces, and leaders from the realms of private industry and the academic world. We will bring the best of America together once again to lead with Americans in space. As the President said just last week, the National Space Council intends to draw on the expertise and insights of scientists, innovators, and business leaders in a whole new way. These leaders, whom the President and I will be naming in the coming weeks, will form a user advisory group, and I know with confidence that their work will dramatically enhance our space policy in the days ahead, just as it has in the past. I'm particularly excited to see the increased collaboration with our burgeoning commercial space industry, so much in evidence here at the Kennedy Space Center. I'm really sorry that I missed the successful commercial launch that took place last night. I was praying for rain at the Kennedy Space Center, so we might see that rocket go up today. But the truth is, we're going to continue to foster stronger partnerships between government agencies and innovative industries across this country because we both have so much to offer one another. In fact, Kennedy Space Center is proof that public and private sectors can achieve more by working together than they could ever achieve apart. This center is today the world's premier multi-use spaceport, and that truth will only continue to grow. In conjunction with our commercial partners, we'll continue to make space travel safer, cheaper, and more accessible than ever before. The truth is that American business is on the cutting edge of space technology. And under President Trump's leadership, with the guidance of the National Space Council, we'll tap into the limitless well of American innovation, because there's no problem the American people can't solve, no barrier we can't break down, no objective we can't achieve when we bring the full force of our national interests and creativity to bear. You know, the American spirit is as limitless as space itself. And so we will bring that spirit fully to bear on the trials that lie ahead. If we can dream it, we can do it. And under President Donald Trump, we will achieve more in space than we ever thought possible. President Trump observed just last week, the human soul yearns for discovery. And I would say that's especially true for those of us who have the privilege to call ourselves Americans. Under President Donald Trump's leadership, we will reorient America's space program toward human space exploration and discovery for the benefit of the American people and all of the world. We will return our nation to the moon. We will go to Mars, and we will still go further to places that our children's children can only imagine. We will maintain a constant presence in low Earth orbit, and we'll develop policies that will carry human space exploration across our solar system and ultimately into the vast expanse of space. As the President has said, space is, in his words, the next great American frontier. And like the pioneers that came before us, we will settle that frontier with American leadership, American courage, and American ingenuity. And as we once again lead in space exploration, we will continue to make the investments and presence in space to ensure the safety and security of the American people. Space is vital to our national security. I saw it firsthand when I visited Schriever Air Force Base just a few weeks ago. And I can assure you, under President Donald Trump, American security will be as dominant in the heavens as we are here on Earth. The tasks that lie before us requires the highest level of courage, commitment, and dedication. Challenges will be difficult, but difficulty brings out America's best. And America's best can't be beaten by anybody at any time. Some 55 years ago, the namesake of this base, President John F. Kennedy, declared that America would put a man on the moon before the decade was out, a feat unlike any imagined in human history. As he said at the time, we were willing to accept the challenge and unwilling to postpone it. And that challenge is one, in his words, one which we intended to win. And with your forebearers here at the Kennedy Space Center, and in Houston and all across NASA, we did win the race to the moon. We won the race a half-century ago, and now we will get back to winning in the 21st century and beyond. Under the leadership of President Donald Trump and with the guidance of the National Space Council, the United States of America will usher in a new era of space leadership that will benefit every facet of our national life. We will strengthen our economy. We will unlock new opportunities, new technologies, and new sources of prosperity. We will inspire our children to seek education in science, technology, engineering, and math. We'll enhance our common defense and advance the security of the American people. But most of all, under President Trump's leadership, we will renew the American spirit itself. Now, I know in my heart that today the heavens are closer than ever before. We're restarting a journey that will take us to new heights of knowledge.
Guys, let's take you out of Vice President Pence speaking at NASA. We heard the bulk of that speech, I feel, and go back to this full sort of vision here of the protests going on, in Germany. You can hear a little sound on this and see with a little more clarity some of the signs that they are using. In the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America, no to sexism, lots of different signs that we're seeing, just to give you guys a feel of some of the protests that are going on at this G20 summit, or rather ahead of the G20 summit, which all starts tomorrow. So take a look at the aerials. You've been watching them. And let's go back to earlier this morning. President Trump was in Poland. He made a quite a rousing speech. There was a good-sized crowd there with a lot of sort of vocal response to his speech, in which he talked about Western civilization and where we go from here. So taking you from this live G20 protest back to earlier moments ago, or earlier this morning, early hours, President Trump making his speech in Poland. He's now in Germany. He just arrived a few hours ago. But we'll go back to his speech so you can catch a little footage of this before we take the showdown for the afternoon.
One of these days I'll be born and raised, and it's such a waste to grow up lonely.
Hello, Poland. Thank you very much. my husband and I have enjoyed visiting your beautiful country. I want to thank President and Mrs. Duda for their warm welcome and their generous hospitality. I had the opportunity to visit the Copernicus Science Center today and found it not only informative, but thoughtful in its mission, which is to inspire people to observe, experiment, ask questions, and seek answers. I can think of no better purpose for such a wonderful science center. Thank you to all who were involved in giving us the tour, especially the children who made it such a wonderful experience. As many of you know, a main focus of my husband's presidency is safety and security of the American people. I think as all of us can agree, people should be able to live their lives without fear, no matter what country they live in. That is my wish for all of us around the world. Thank you again for this wonderful welcome to your very special country. Your kindness and gracious hospitality will not be forgotten. And now it is my honor to introduce to you my husband, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. That's so nice. The United States has many great diplomats, but there is truly no better ambassador for our country than our beautiful First Lady, Melania. Thank you, Melania. That was very nice. We've come to your nation to deliver a very important message. America loves Poland, and America loves the Polish people. Thank you. The Poles have not only greatly enriched this region, but Polish Americans have also greatly enriched the United States, and I was truly proud to have their support in the 2016 election. It is a profound honor to stand in this city by this monument to the Warsaw Uprising and to address the Polish nation that so many generations have dreamed of, a Poland that is safe, strong, and free. President Duda and your wonderful First Lady, Agata, have welcomed us with the tremendous warmth and kindness for which Poland is known around the world. Thank you. I sincerely, thank both of them, and to Prime Minister Shedwo, a very special thanks also. We are pleased that former President Lech Walesa, so famous for leading the Solidarity movement, has joined us today also. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of all Americans, let me also thank the entire Polish people for the generosity you have shown in welcoming our soldiers to your country. These soldiers are not only brave defenders of freedom, but also symbols of America's commitment to your security and your place in a strong and democratic Europe. We are proudly joined on stage by American, Polish, British, and Romanian soldiers. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. President Duda and I have just come from an incredibly successful meeting with the leaders participating in the 3 Cs initiative. To the citizens of this great region, America is eager to expand our partnership with you. We welcome stronger ties of trade and commerce as you grow your economies. And we are committed to securing your access to alternate sources of energy, so Poland and its neighbors are never again held hostage to a single supplier of energy. Mr. President, I congratulate you along with the President of Croatia on your leadership of this historic 3 Cs initiative. Thank you. This is my first visit to Central Europe as president, and I am thrilled that it could be right here at this magnificent, beautiful piece of land. It is beautiful. Poland is the geographic heart of Europe, but more importantly, in the Polish people, we see the soul of Europe. Your nation is great because your spirit is great, and your spirit is strong. For 2 centuries, Poland suffered constant and brutal attacks. But while Poland could be invaded and occupied, and its borders even erased from the map, it could never be erased from history or from your hearts. In those dark days, you have lost your land, but you never lost your pride. So it is with this true admiration that I can say today that from the farms and villages of your countryside to the cathedrals and squares of your great cities, Poland lives, Poland prospers, and Poland prevails. Despite every effort to transform you, oppress you, or destroy you, you endured and overcame. You are the proud nation of Copernicus. Think of that. Chopin, St. John Paul II. Poland is a land of great heroes. And you are a people who know the true value of what you defend. The triumph of the Polish spirit over centuries of hardship gives us all hope for a future in which good conquers evil and peace achieves victory over war. For Americans, Poland has been a symbol of hope since the beginning of our nation. Polish heroes and American patriots fought side by side in our War of Independence and in many wars that followed. Our soldiers still serve together today in Afghanistan and Iraq, combating the enemies of all civilization. For America's part, we have never given up on freedom and independence as the right and destiny of the Polish people, and we never, ever will. Our 2 countries share a special bond forged by unique histories and national characters. It's a fellowship that exists only among people who have fought and bled and died for freedom. The signs of this friendship stand in our nation's capital. Just steps from the White House, we've raised statues of men with names like Pulaski and Kosciuszko. The same is true in Warsaw, where street signs carry the name of George Washington and a monument stands to one of the world's greatest heroes, Ronald Reagan. And so I am here today, not just to visit an old ally, but to hold it up as an example for others who seek freedom and who wish to summon the courage and the will to defend our civilization. The story of Poland is the story of a people who have never lost hope, who have never been broken, and who have never, ever forgotten who they are. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Such a great honor. This is a nation more than 1,000 years old. Your borders were erased for more than a century and only restored just 1 century ago. In 1920, in the miracle of Vistula, Poland stopped the Soviet army bent on European conquest. Then, 19 years later, in 1939, you were invaded yet again, this time by Nazi Germany from the west and the Soviet Union from the east. That's trouble. That's tough. Under a double occupation, the Polish people endured evils beyond description. The Katyn Forest Massacre, the occupations, the Holocaust, the Warsaw Ghetto, and the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, the destruction of this beautiful capital city, and the deaths of nearly 1 in 5 Polish people. A vibrant Jewish population, the largest in Europe, was reduced to almost nothing after the Nazis systematically murdered millions of Poland's Jewish citizens, along with countless others during that brutal occupation. In the summer of 1944, the Nazi and Soviet armies were preparing for a terrible and bloody battle right here in Warsaw. Amid that hell on earth, the citizens of Poland rose up to defend their homeland. I am deeply honored to be joined on stage today by veterans and heroes of the Warsaw Uprising. What great spirit. We salute your noble sacrifice, and we pledge to always remember your fight for Poland and for freedom. Thank you. Thank you. This monument reminds us that more than 150,000 Poles died during that desperate struggle to overthrow oppression. From the other side of the river, the Soviet armed forces stopped and waited. They watched as the Nazis ruthlessly destroyed the city, viciously murdering men, women, and children. They tried to destroy this nation forever by shattering its will to survive. But there is a courage and a strength deep in the Polish character that no one could destroy. The Polish martyr, Bishop Michael Kozel, said it well: more horrifying than a defeat of arms is a collapse of the human spirit. Through 4 decades of communist rule, Poland and the other captive nations of Europe endured a brutal campaign to demolish freedom, your faith, your laws, your history, your identity, indeed the very essence of your culture and your humanity. Yet through it all, you never lost that spirit. Your oppressors tried to break you, but Poland could not be broken. And when the day came on June 2nd, 1979, and 1 million Poles gathered around Victory Square for their very first Mass with their Polish Pope, that day every communist in Warsaw must have known that their oppressive system would soon come crashing down. They must have known it at the exact moment during Pope John Paul II's sermon, when 1 million Polish men, women, and children suddenly raised their voices in a single prayer. 1 million Polish people did not ask for wealth. They did not ask for privilege. Instead, 1 million Poles sang 3 simple words: we want God. In those words, the Polish people recalled the promise of a better future. They found new courage to face down their oppressors, and they found the words to declare that Poland would be Poland once again. As I stand here today before this incredible crowd, this faithful nation, we can still hear those voices that echo through history. Their message is as true today as ever. The people of Poland, the people of America, and the people of Europe still cry out, we want God. Together with Pope John Paul II, the Poles reasserted their identity as a nation devoted to God. And with that powerful declaration of who you are, you came to understand what to do and how to live. You stood in solidarity against oppression, against a lawless secret police, against a cruel and wicked system that impoverished your cities and your souls. And you won. Poland prevailed. Poland will always prevail. Thank you. You were supported in that victory over communism by a strong alliance of free nations in the West that defied tyranny. Now among the most committed members of the NATO alliance, Poland has resumed its place as a leading nation of a Europe that is strong, whole, and free. A strong Poland is a blessing to the nations of Europe, and they know that. A strong Europe is a blessing to the West and to the world. "100 years after the entry of American forces into World War I, the transatlantic bond between the United States and Europe is as strong as ever, and maybe in many ways even stronger. This continent no longer confronts the specter of communism. But today we're in the West, and we have to say there are dire threats to our security and to our way of life. You see what's happening out there. They are threats. We will confront them. We will win. But they are threats. We are confronted by another oppressive ideology, one that seeks to export terrorism and extremism all around the globe. America and Europe have suffered one terror attack after another. We're going to get it to stop. During a historic gathering in Saudi Arabia, I called on the leaders of more than 50 Muslim nations to join together to drive out this menace which threatens all of humanity. We must stand united against these shared enemies to strip them of their territory and their funding and their networks and any form of ideological support that they may have. While we will always welcome new citizens who share our values and love our people, our borders will always be closed to terrorism and extremism of any kind. We are fighting hard against radical Islamic terrorism, and we will prevail. We cannot accept those who reject our values and who use hatred to justify violence against the innocent. Today, the West is also confronted by the powers that seek to test our will, undermine our confidence, and challenge our interests. To meet new forms of aggression, including propaganda, financial crimes, and cyber warfare, we must adapt our alliance to compete effectively in new ways and on all new battlefields. We urge Russia to cease its destabilizing activities in Ukraine and elsewhere, and its support for hostile regimes, including Syria and Iran, and to instead join the community of responsible nations in our fight against common enemies and in defense of civilization itself. Finally, on both sides of the Atlantic, our citizens are confronted by yet another danger, one firmly within our control. This danger is invisible to some, but familiar to the Poles. The steady creep of government bureaucracy that drains the vitality and wealth of the people. The West became great, not because of paperwork and regulations, but because people were allowed to chase their dreams and pursue their destinies. Americans, Poles, and nations of Europe value individual freedom and sovereignty. We must work together to confront forces, whether they come from inside or out, from the South or the East, that threaten over time to undermine these values and to erase the bonds of culture, faith, and tradition that make us who we are. If left unchecked, these forces will undermine our courage, sap our spirit, and weaken our will to defend ourselves and our societies. But just as our adversaries and enemies of the past learned here in Poland, we know that these forces, too, are doomed to fail if we want them to fail. And we do indeed want them to fail. They are doomed not only because our alliance is strong, our countries are resilient, and our power is unmatched. Through all of that, you have to say everything is true. Our adversaries, however, are doomed because we will never forget who we are. And if we don't forget who we are, we just can't be beaten. Americans will never forget. The nations of Europe will never forget. We are the fastest and the greatest community. There is nothing like our community of nations. The world has never known anything like our community of nations. We write symphonies. We pursue innovation. We celebrate our ancient heroes, embrace our timeless traditions and customs, and always seek to explore and discover brand new frontiers. We reward brilliance. We strive for excellence and cherish inspiring works of art that honor God. We treasure the rule of law and protect the right to free speech and free expression. We empower women as pillars of our society and of our success. We put faith and family, not government and bureaucracy, at the center of our lives, and we debate everything. We challenge everything. We seek to know everything so that we can better know ourselves. And above all, we value the dignity of every human life, protect the rights of every person, and share the hope of every soul to live in freedom. That is who we are. Those are the priceless ties that bind us together as nations, as allies, and as a civilization. What we have, what we inherited from our, and you know this better than anybody, and you see it today with this incredible group of people. What we've inherited from our ancestors has never existed to this extent before. And if we fail to preserve it, it will never, ever exist again. So we cannot fail. This great community of nations has something else in common. In every one of them, it is the people, not the powerful, who have always formed the foundation of freedom and the cornerstone of our defense. The people have been that foundation here in Poland, as they were right here in Warsaw. And they were the foundation from the very, very beginning in America. Our citizens did not win freedom together, did not survive horrors together, did not face down evil together, only to lose our freedom to a lack of pride and confidence in our values. We did not, and we will not. We will never back down. As long as we know our history, we will know how to build our future. Americans know that a strong alliance of free, sovereign, and independent nations is the best defense for our freedoms and for our interests. That is why my administration has demanded that all members of NATO finally meet their full and fair financial obligation. As a result of this insistence, billions of dollars more have begun to pour into NATO. In fact, people are shocked. But billions and billions of dollars more coming in from countries that, in my opinion, would not have been paying so quickly. To those who would criticize our tough stance, I would point out that the United States has demonstrated, not merely with words, but with its actions that we stand firmly behind Article 5, the mutual defense commitment. Words are easy, but actions are what matters. And for its own protection, and you know this, everybody knows this, everybody has to know this, Europe must do more. Europe must demonstrate that it believes in its future by investing its money to secure that future. That is why we applaud Poland for its decision to move forward this week on acquiring from the United States the battle-tested Patriot air and missile defense system, the best anywhere in the world. That is also why we salute the Polish people for being one of the NATO countries that has actually achieved the benchmark for investment in our common defense. Thank you. Thank you, Poland. I must tell you, the example you set is truly magnificent, and we applaud Poland. Thank you. We have to remember that our defense is not just a commitment of money. It is a commitment of will. Because as the Polish experience reminds us, the defense of the West ultimately rests not only on means, but also on the will of its people to prevail and be successful and get what you have to have. The fundamental question of our time is whether the West has the will to survive. Do we have the confidence in our values to defend them at any cost? Do we have enough respect for our citizens to protect our borders? Do we have the desire and the courage to preserve our civilization in the face of those who would subvert and destroy it? We can have the largest economies and the most lethal weapons anywhere on earth. But if we do not have strong families and strong values, then we will be weak and we will not survive. If anyone forgets the critical importance of these things, let them come to one country that never has. Let them come to Poland. And let them come here to Warsaw and learn the story of the Warsaw Uprising. When they do, they should learn about Jerusalem Avenue. In August of 1944, Jerusalem Avenue was one of the main roads running east and west through this city, just as it is today. Control of that road was crucially important to both sides in the battle for Warsaw. The German military wanted it as their most direct route to move troops and to form a very strong front. And for the Polish Home Army, the ability to pass north and south across that street was critical to keep the center of the city and the uprising itself from being split apart and destroyed. Every night the Poles put up sandbags amid machine gun fire, and it was horrendous fire, to protect a narrow passage across Jerusalem Avenue. Every day the enemy forces knocked them down again and again and again. Then the Poles dug a trench. Finally, they built a barricade. And the brave Polish fighters began to flow across Jerusalem Avenue. That narrow passageway, just a few feet wide, was the fragile link that kept the uprising alive. Between its walls, a constant stream of citizens and freedom fighters made their perilous sprints. They ran across that street. They ran through that street. They ran under that street, all to defend the city. The far side was several yards away, recalled one young Polish woman named Greta. That mortality and that life was so important to her. In fact, she said, the mortally dangerous sector of the street was soaked in blood It was the blood of messengers, liaison girls, and couriers. Nazi snipers shot at anybody who crossed. Anybody who crossed, they were being shot at. Their soldiers burned every building on the street, and they used the Poles as human shields for their tanks in their effort to capture Jerusalem Avenue. The enemy never ceased its relentless assault on that small outpost of civilization. And the Poles never ceased its defense. The Jerusalem Avenue passage required constant protection, repair, and reinforcement. But the will of its defenders did not waver, even in the face of death. And to the last days of the uprising, the fragile crossing never, ever failed. It was never, ever forgotten. It was kept open by the Polish people. The memories of those who perished in the Warsaw Uprising cry out across the decades, and few are clearer than the memories of those who died to build and defend the Jerusalem Avenue crossing. Those heroes remind us that the West was saved with the blood of patriots, that each generation must rise up and play their part in its defense. And that every foot of ground and every last inch of civilization is worth defending with your life. Our own fight for the West does not begin on the battlefield. It begins with our minds, our wills, and our souls. Today, the ties that unite our civilization are no less vital and demand no less defense than that bare shred of land on which the hope of Poland once totally rested. Our freedom, our civilization, and our survival depend on these bonds of history, culture, and memory. And today as ever, Poland is in our heart, and its people are in that fight. Just as Poland could not be broken, I declare today for the world to hear that the West will never, ever be broken. Our values will prevail. Our people will thrive, and our civilization will triumph. Thank you. So together, let us all fight like the Poles, for family, for freedom, for country, and for God. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the Polish people. God bless our allies. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, so clearly President Trump there with a rousing speech in Poland. That was earlier this morning. We wanted to make sure we brought that back to you on air today on Fox 5 Live. So right now, though, let's bring this full screen. You guys are looking at these riots still ongoing here, these G20 protests that really, really escalated fast. We've been watching them throughout that speech that we were listening to the sound on, and they were throwing tear gas. Look at it. They're apprehending someone here now. There was just a lot of stuff. They were spraying people down with water, tons of police presence, and people rioting.
And they've been protesting all day. I mean, it's been, up to this point, pretty much an entirely peaceful protest. But, in the last, whatever, half an hour or so, it just jumped up a level. I mean, you saw things being thrown at the police engaged in physical altercations with people, just really almost like kind of violent, chaotic situation right away. Yeah,
and look at this. Nana's a little closer in here and more honed in on this person, this protester. But before we saw these wide shots, more of like an aerial wide shot. They're showing all the tear gas being thrown, the numbers, the sheer high numbers of troops mobilizing and running in there, trucks kind of barreling through, and a lot of fights, little fights breaking out, whatnot. This is all live, by the way, guys. Live, raw, unedited G20 protests coming out of Hamburg, Germany, where the G20 is starting tomorrow, and they are there in the hundreds of thousands, or at least they were predicting 100,000 of protesters from all over Europe. We don't know exactly how many they've named now, but they're estimating. But thousands of people showing up in protest, lots of signs, lots of people, getting a little bit raucous, a little bit violent.
Yeah, and you can see, obviously with any protest, just the incredible media presence there. I mean, you have the protesters, then you have the line of police, and then just media all over the place there. Everybody has a camera in this day and age, and every single one of those cameras is going on full blast right now.
Absolutely. Check out that footage. It kind of jumps around, but this is all live from the feed that we're getting in over there in Europe. But good point. It's sort of the line of protesters, the police, media. There was live music before, so we were seeing some of that. People with different signs expressing different viewpoints here. Really, really riveting. And like Cam was saying, too, it escalated really fast. We were just seeing general footage and then lots of more intensified, a little bit more violent footage of what's going on. Pretty interesting watch here. The media right in the middle of it there, the presence, the camera, police ushering him off to the side. Doing live shots. There you go. Really, the police are trying to protect those people too. Really, the media from being, but these guys are sort of in some sort of protest statement of sorts in the middle. So this is pretty much ongoing, guys, and thanks so much for joining us on our feed. You're watching Fox 5 Live from Washington, D.C., Fox 5 News, local news. We're getting in all the sources of today's news, and there they go, they switched it a little bit to a different shot, but kind of switched around today. A lot of stuff happening abroad and then also back home. A bunch of car chases and
car chases in California,
moment.
which we said that we'd get back to you with more information, but we haven't actually gotten any more information.
Yep, Cam was saying we've been efforting, looking up if that press conference or anything in California gleaned anything about the guy that they were chasing. No new conclusions or updates on that car chase, unfortunately. So if you've been with us for some of the duration of this feed, unfortunately there isn't any new information there. Unfortunately, because we were watching that for a while. The chopper kind of went out, came back. But right now, guys, live picture of the rioting, the protests in Germany. Yeah, we covered some stuff back here. You can hear a little sound on this.
Oh, wait, hold on.
You see anything?
So they've named a name. I'm trying to get. Roberto Uribe is his name.
From the car chase.
Yep. Sapien.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that now.
Foot on foot. And then a man. So after he barricaded himself inside the home, the authorities determined it was not a dangerous situation.
And he was not charged.
Which we kind of got from just the posture.
Nonchalant.
And then he was actually then not charged with anything. So the situation's over peacefully. I'm surprised.
Yeah, same. And good to know.
To be not charged with anything in that situation, I'm surprised. I mean, he eluded police. He eluded the police capture for 45 minutes.
That is surprising.
I mean, that's definitely a crime.
So just to recap,
I guess that it's not.
If you guys have been on with us for the duration of the show, we did a lot of stuff with the car chase in Glendale in northern LA in California. We're reading now the suspect, Roberto Uribe, made his way and things ended peacefully, we think. We're reading it was not dangerous and he was not charged.
He ran a red light and there were reports that he actually made contact with other vehicles. I mean, it's just
yeah, very interesting. Maybe more is to come on that, but that's at least we know things were kind of resolved and there wasn't any violence in there. Meanwhile, sort of the violence a little bit escalating here in these riots and protests, people making their statements there in the streets as part of these G20 protests that are ongoing in Hamburg, Germany. This has been going on for the morning, if you guys have been with us. Pretty interesting shot here, pretty interesting footage of this. I'm assuming this will go on most of the day until we start up tomorrow. Police kind of, expecting this to happen, as we said, being prepared for this, mobilizing their officers for this type of occasion.
And there were a lot of officers. I haven't seen an actual count, but just from the video, and you guys have been watching along with us, just the sheer quantity of it's almost like troops moving in whenever they're called into action. Into the hundreds, I'm sure. Troops, as far that called in to help contain the situation.
Yeah, and we're watching along with you guys now. We were watching that double shot throughout, and that it really did escalate quickly. And we were reading that there was some people overnight, or shopkeepers and private business owners were worried about the G20 even coming to the city. They didn't love Angela Merkel's decision to let it be hosted here in this major city due to some of the stuff that could happen. So I'm sure we'll be reading reports about what type of violence, if any, is extreme there, and what security measures have been taken and will be taken to keep them at bay. But with that wide shot, guys, I think we are going to wrap up the show for the day. Lots of stuff on here today. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow on our stream. We're up every weekday, 11 a.m. into the afternoon, as long as we have interesting live sources to bring you. And go ahead and click subscribe on our channel. You can check us out anytime that we come up on your feed with more information. We're going to take it back into the newsroom here, guys. Molly and Cam closing it out today on this Thursday, July 6th. Thanks so much for watching us from wherever you guys are. Join us again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. With that, we'll leave you with a shot of the White House on this Thursday. Have a good one, guys.
See you tomorrow.